Believe it or not, Ninjago used to be considered one of the most affordable LEGO themes. And you know, if you compare it with some of today's egregious prices, it still kinda is. That being said, I want to find out what the most overpriced LEGO Ninjago sets of all time were. I'm not talking about the most expensive Ninjago sets, more which sets cost the most compared to what the price reasonably should be. So today we're going to be doing exactly that. Hey everyone, Bricksider here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at some of the most overpriced Ninjago sets of all time. To absolutely nobody's surprise, even after scrolling through Brickset's entire catalog of Ninjago sets and comparing them to their retail price, almost every set that fit the qualifications was from the last 3 years. This makes a lot of sense since summer 2022 was when LEGO experienced pretty significant price increases, and since then we've had varying waves of overpriced sets. Sometimes sets barely get affected, especially the really small ones and a lot of the larger ones as well. But most of the mid-sized sets since summer 2022 have been affected in at least some capacity. Even though I knew most of this list was going to be 2022 and beyond, I wanted to look really hard for sets from before this, especially from the Masters of Spinjitzu era that were overpriced on a similar caliber to some of the sets of today. Honestly though, I just had such a hard time doing this. I don't know if I'm being skewed by the prices just being objectively a lot worse now, but I couldn't find very many sets, if at all, I would consider as outrageously overpriced as the rest of this list from the present day. Many of them were overpriced at the time, I guess, but they seem trivial to include on a list like this when you compare them to the competition. There are just a few small ones though that I would consider genuinely overpriced, possibly even by today's standard. The Ninjaroid Mech Dragon from Rebooted immediately comes to mind. When this set was released in late 2013, it contained 691 pieces and retailed for $90. This was not a very popular deal among lots of Ninjago fans. In fact, it's even said that the set was a shelf warmer for years even after its initial release. This set was definitely overpriced, especially for the time, but, and I might be the only one, I don't actually think it's that bad of a price. This is coming from somebody who actually owns this set. Granted, I bought it on the aftermarket for like $150, I think. But ignoring the retired value, I feel like this set is decently big. Yeah, it's not $90 big, but I honestly think it could pass for like $80, which $10 overpriced, it could be way worse. Plus, while there were only 5 minifigs, 2 of them were exclusive, which did drive up the value by quite a bit. I might just be biased since I really like the main Mech Dragon build in the set. I think it's super sick. It's absolutely overpriced, no doubt, even if I still really like it. The other really overpriced set I can think of from pre-2022 is actually 3 different sets. LEGO obviously loves to make a new version of the Destiny's Bounty every now and then, and some of these variations are a little different than the usual classic flying ship. I personally really like this idea, and it's led to some of the coolest looking and conceptually interesting Ninjago sets. That being said, the 3 most unique bounty sets were also pretty overpriced for when they released. The Land Bounty and Hydro Bounty originally went for $130, and the Destiny's Bounty Race Against Time went for $160. Again, I still don't think these are that bad since there are some pretty fun, harmless sets, but they also could have easily been what they were while being a lot less expensive. I think the minifigures in all of these are fantastic selections, which is probably the one aspect justifying the slightly premium cost. Even then, compared to some of the sets on shelves now, this is nowhere near as bad. Speaking of those modern sets, let's get to them. We're going to do this from least overpriced to most overpriced by my interpretation, but of course these are all debatable, so let me know what you would change about this list in the comments. Kai's Mech Rider Evo is a pretty weird set with this pretty gross price. $45 is just not it in my opinion. Core's had some very questionable prices, but this one absolutely takes the cake for the worst in my opinion. To me, this is easy like a $30 set, maybe $35, and there just wasn't enough exclusive or particularly interesting to make this one stand out and worth buying. Kai's Golden Dragon Raider from Crystallize was originally $90 when it came out. Summer 2022 was the first wave to coincide with the price increases, and it's safe to say that this is one of the sets that people were not happy about. And it's really a shame here because unlike the Mech Rider, I think everything about this set other than the price kind of rules. I love the actual Golden Dragon Raider. It's got some great unique shaping with a very bold color scheme. The minifigure selection is also on point. I'm super jealous of anyone who has that Golden Dragon Zane minifig. Like, man, does that go hard. To me though, everything about this set screams $70 at most, and it just sucks that such a banger had to be nerfed with such an unreasonable price. Rogue's Mech Dragon Rider from summer 2025 is $75, which is about $20 too expensive for me. $55 might seem a little unreasonable, but quite frankly, the dragon is just too small. And at least with some other sets like the peanut butter and jelly dragon, there's at least a big and varied enough minifigure selection to match the price, even if I don't think the build does. In this set, that's just not the case. There were 4 minifigures. Yeah, 4. That's just dumb. Adding some generic Dragonian guards would have at least made this not the worst value in the world, but choosing to keep the figure selection so limited just ruined this set. Egot the Master Dragon might not seem like it fits in with the rest of the sets on this list, but to me, it definitely does. This set is annoyingly overpriced at $70. This price point specifically upsets me because it used to be a pretty safe and reliable price for some larger than mid-sized sets before entering the echelon of more expensive sets. It was the perfect balance, but now it seems like this is the price point where they dump all of their mid-sized sets that should really be like $50 max. It's a fine set with a decent build and alright minifigures, but again, 70, really? Kai's Mech Storm Rider is basically exactly like the Mech Rider, except this one is $50 instead of $45. Yay! Oh yeah, this set also had 3 minifigs, just truly exceptional. You guys really tried with this one. But now we've got the really egregiously overpriced sets. There is no world, and I mean not a single one, where Aaron's Ninja Off-Road Buggy Car should be $50 freaking dollars. To start, the name is stupid. But also, $50. You know how much I could buy for $50? Okay, let's do a little thought experiment. Let's say a gallon of milk costs $20. That means I could get 2 gallons of milk for the price of one Lego set that's smaller than a gallon of milk. Now you might be asking, what's the point of this analogy? Why am I comparing milk to a Lego set? And that's a really good question. I have no idea. Let's move on. Don't buy this. It's a $25 set masquerading as something more than it is. I really hate to put the Elemental Dragon versus the Empress Mech this high out, but it really deserves it. As much as this set is fantastic, with seriously one of the greatest Ninjago dragons of all time, you have to throw down $130 to have this in your collection. And I'm sorry, this is a $100 set by nature. There's no getting around that. $110 should have been the max, honestly. A great and bigger minifigure selection would have really helped increase the perceived value, but it's just too little. The only exclusive minifig here is only exclusive by a technicality. This is an example of an amazing set that was slightly ruined by a bad price. Oh, but these next 3 sets will make this one feel like a steal. Genuinely, what were they thinking with the Ninja Team combo vehicle? $90 is absolutely fried. Even $70 to $80 wouldn't be good, but this is just too much. I mean, it's bad enough that the Raider itself is ugly and looks unfinished, but on top of that, it's just a bad value. This is one of those Ninjago sets where there is no reason to ever buy it. If anyone has an argument for why this set could be considered worth it at its retail price, I'm genuinely curious to hear it because there's just so many better sets you can get for $90. Some people are probably going to disagree with this, but Lloyd's Ultra Golden Dragon from Crystallized completely deserves to be here in my opinion. I've heard a lot of defenses for the $150 price point this set sits at, which, yeah, wow. And almost all of those defenses come down to the minifigures. Don't get me wrong, they're definitely not bad, but like 7 isn't really a number to write home about for the premium you're paying for. Plus, only one of them is exclusive, which is tied for the lowest amount of this entire wave. Just because you get 4 of the Golden Robe Ninja doesn't really justify anything, to be honest. At least that's just how I feel. Maybe if I was more in love with the dragon, I could maybe, just maybe, see this being worth like 110 or 120, but even then, I don't know. The dragon's good, but just not 150 good, of course. Price to part isn't the end-all be-all, but under 1,000 pieces for $150 set just feels so wrong. What really sealed the deal, though, is the release of the Source Dragon in Motion, which is, lo and behold, also $150, but for 1,716 pieces. And I don't think I need to explain why that's a much better value. This price is just genuinely awful. It was really close to taking the top spot if it wasn't for one set from this past summer that took the crown by far. Let's be honest, you already know what it is. It's a set so overpriced that it feels illegal. That set, of course, is the Ninja Combat Vehicle. On the surface, it looks like any one of these combo vehicle sets. And I will say the design of the Raider actually looks pretty cool. I like it. At 561 pieces, the figure selection is actually not bad. 6 figs including the only way to get frack, it seems like a cool little $50 to $60 set. It'll probably be $70 though, knowing modern Lego. This thing is $100 in the United States. What the actual flip? This will go down in history as not only one of the most overpriced Ninjago sets of all time, but one of the most overpriced Lego sets of all time. Absolute madness. Those are just my thoughts though, and I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's all for me. I'll see ya in the next one.